Hello, everyone. I am Brett, the Comic Novice. This is my YouTube channel, The Comic Novice. And in this video, I'm going to be not only doing an unboxing of the August 2023 comic haul that I pre ordered 2 months in advance, but also some thoughts that I've had surrounding comics because I really, for the most part, have bought zero new comics during July and August. Yeah, that's right. I have had a 2 month hiatus or 2 months off of reading new comics because basically, DC, most of my pull list at my local comic store. And because they did the night terrors, I sat that one completely out and I did pick it up through DCBS, but waited to read the entirety of the whole run so that I can, kind of enjoy it and also kind of like figure out, am I going to be a trade waiter in the future, or am I just going to be waiting it out and just checking things out digitally first and then picking up the physical format versions of the comics, obviously in physical format? Because I do think that, I do appreciate collecting. I've always been a collector, but to me, as somebody who has collected sports cards in my youth, I feel as though collecting it is not only something that you look forward to, but you put it in a protective case. You flip through it from time to time, look at it, read the back, look at the stats or whatnot. With these, I found myself oftentimes collecting them, putting them in the backing board and the bag, and putting it in a box, and then never revisiting it again. And so, because of the 2 months off, I'm now kind of like trying to figure out what I want to do with this hobby going forward because the prices keep on going up. There's been a couple of revelations regarding Marvel comics, and been more inclined to pick more of those up. Now I'm thinking about scaling back those and actually kind of almost only focusing mainly on the indies and the DC comics that I like because of the change in price. Granted, I am getting them through DCBS and it's cheaper, but it's still a tad bit more. And again, when is it going to start getting a tad bit more? Is the event fatigue or the burnout. I jumped on the comics during what was it? In 2019, the DC's villain, not the villain of the year. Anyway, the year of the villain. There we go. And then from there, we went to another event. Then we went to another event, and I've purchased everything in most of those events. And I found myself realizing that I've kind of don't want to revisit some of those. So now that I'm kind of juggling that in the background too, whereas, again, with DC this year, we started off at the Lazarus Planet, which I completely noped out of altogether. I have the dark, let's see, Night Terrors, but only the main storylines and a couple of the books in which the creators that are currently writing those books on are writing those stories, because my thought in rationale for that is perhaps going forward some of these night terror ideas might be revisited in the main story. That is my only rationale for it. I could be completely wrong, but that is just what I was guessing. And then we are now propelled into Gotham War with Batman versus Catwoman. I have no interest in that because I'm not reading Catwoman. I feel as though it's going to be something that I'm being asked to invest in. I have the DC Infinite Universe app. I will invest in it, my time through there. But again, another thing that I've noticed regarding not buying the things that I don't buy, I don't tend to read or have interest in reading in DC Infinite Universe as well as the Marvel Unlimited. For example, back in May, I did a couple videos revolving around, who is this for regarding the We Are Champions or We Are Legends, the three Asian American creators, the Vigil, City Boy, and also Spirit World. I got them all for free the day that they came out on the DC Infinite Universe app, but that was only for issue number one. Issue number two, I do wait the standard 1 month after they came out to read those. because I was not intrigued I was more intrigued by the art for the, spirit world, I never picked it up. I picked up both physically, City Boy and The Vigil, but to me, that just kinda spells out to if I'm invested in buying it physically, I'm invested into actually reading it, which is why I've never gone back to, Spirit World, and I think the same thing is gonna go for some of the comics I don't buy physically. I don't think I might ever go back and revisit them on any of the digital platforms. Now, again, I have been reading lots of classic storylines, stuff from the 80s, The Punisher on DC Infinite or not, the Marvel Unlimited, as well as classic Batman stories. I love these. I'm thoroughly invested. In fact, because of that, I picked up some omnibuses. So one of them is the Green Lantern Corps by Peter J. Tomasi, which I'm kind of intrigued by because I found one trade paperback of that somewhere, and I liked it, and I saw that that was collected there, as well as I do have the Jeff Johns run as that too. And then I, on a whim, picked this up because I was reading the Doug, I think it's Mench's. I was reading his Batman, and because he was doing Moon Knight, I was just like, okay, how about I pick this up too? So again, that's how I'm kind of problem solving my burnout. Is I'm actually collecting stories that have been in existence for many many years, and in some instances, with the Doug Mench's Batman stories, I've gone in to comic book stores and tried to find the original art because I do like having, holding, touching the actual art in my hand instead of on a digital screen, like on a um, iPad. So again, that's where I'm at with that. And again, interesting thing about that is we also have, I think I mentioned the Spider-Man 4-month series that is going to be happening shortly, as well as I have no idea what oh yeah, there's the Beast Boy War or whatever that is coming out in DC. I would like to possibly pursue this, but because I've sat out these 2 months and I really don't really feel as though I've missed anything. In fact, I'm gonna actually have to force myself to read the Night Terrors thing because I just wanna just continue back on with the dawn of DC titles that began in, I believe the first one was released in January of 2023 and, has slowly been spilling out since then. And of course, we had to have a 2-month stop. So that's where I am with that. I don't know. Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And the other thing that I'm kind of curious about, and maybe what I'm trying to do is also maybe break me of the, weekly, monthly comic and just trade wait it out. And in the meantime of trade waiting it out, going back and buying some of these omnibuses that, of these stories that have been existing for years and just spend my time and money this way. You know, this has like 35, 40 stories within it, and I picked it up for about $75. I will tell you, I have my comic haul is 42 comics, and it cost me $125. So, keeping that in mind, that's another, rationale for the entirety of, you know, not pursuing new comics and pursuing old stuff. Again, I know that there is and can be some great stuff. I do appreciate it, and I do know that if you don't support some of the new stuff, it will possibly get canceled, and then there will be no longer, a series to watch. Similarly to, like, Netflix. If, you have a good series, but they don't have the viewing hours, per se 18.99, the series gets canceled, and then everybody gets bummed, and the people that, kind of were waiting out the series, well, because they didn't watch it to initially begin with, it never got watched, therefore the viewing hours never got happened, therefore the series got canceled. So it's kind of almost a catch 22. And I do know I have asked my, local comic book store owners what they do, and oftentimes they kind of double dip. They invest in the series that they want, and then they buy the trade to read multiple times. And I was thinking about that, and I guess the best way to do that would be to buy the series, possibly create an eBay channel, selling off the singles and then buying kind of for cheap the trade. I don't know. It is something that I've been thinking about. I think way too deeply about things. Probably I don't need to do that, but yeah. Again, like, subscribe also if you'd like to. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And I guess without further ado, I will get into the August Comic Haul. Now, with the August Comic Haul, like I said, I have 42 total comics in the comic haul. It they all of them with the discounted prices were $125, about 94 cents. The average price per comic is 2.99. Now, out of all of these, there's only one comic that is 2.99, and that is the Gunslinger Spawn. All the other ones are 3.99 and above. So again, a great savings going pursuing it that way. Had I paid cover price for all 42 of these, it would have cost me $204.58. Again, the average price per comic for all of these, had I paid, the entirety of that, would be $4.85 or 87 cents. Now, again, with tax and also with shipping, I will tack on $15. And so, that would probably increase the price to about $3.50. But again, still a savings in comparison to, sadly, driving and supporting a local business. And I would love to support a local business, but the comic book companies continue to jack up prices. And I would like to own these legally. And sadly, the best way I can do that is to support DCBS. Again, it's a catch 22. Do I limit myself to the amount that I buy, or do I just shop somewhere else? And I guess you could say it's like the whole, Walmart situation too. Should you support local businesses, small grocery stores, or go to Walmart? Again, it's a tough one. So here's my comic haul. I will just talk about some of these things and the stories that I've read, have not read, and my rationale for actually pursuing these in the near future. So first off, we have Spider-Man issue number 10. I already have read this. Again, I'm so guilty of basically, just picking up as many of the Spider-Boy covers as possible. I'm really looking forward to the Spider-Boy series that is going to come out, I believe, in November of 2024. I'm curious. I'm also kind of scared at the same time because the discussion of let's see, what was the quote that Dan Slott said? It was discussed that, the sold out printings of Spider-Man 7, Edge of the Spider-Verse number 3, which was Spider-Boy's storyline. He's going to be going forward in his own series. However, one of the things that I'm kind of concerned about is one of his quotes is, some of the stories are going to be exciting, but some of them are going to be like a, what did I just read? I don't know if I'm down for that. Like, I don't think I want to have a lot of stories where it's just like, I'm asking myself, what did I just read? But until then, we'll stay hopeful. I am looking forward to the Spider-Boy series. So yeah, and I will definitely review it. There is my Batman Brave and the Bold. I am only getting this book through the Joker, I guess, year one storyline. So the rest of the stories I actually don't care about. Sadly, I wish I did, but I didn't. Black Panther number 4. I've actually been thinking about dropping Black Panther, and then with the increase, let me just pull this up. Let me pull this article up right here. With the increase of, there we are. With the increase of Amazing Spider-Man, which I'm getting, Avengers, which is interesting because according to what I've been noticing, Avengers went up to 4.99 and then it's gone back down to 3.99. But at least that is all that they've shown um, in the solicitations. So I'm not 100% sure if Avengers is staying at 4.99 or if the solicitations for Marvel is a mistake. Wolverine, I'm not picking that up, and all the Star Wars, which is sad because I was kinda looking forward to picking up a lot of the Dark Droid series, which I will be talking about when I get to that. I do know that I picked that up. And yeah, so I currently have, which is so this is weird because I think this is backwards because I think issue number 5 or maybe issue number 6 according to the solicitations is 4.99 for Avengers number 6, but I believe issue number 7 is back down according to the solicits to 3.99. Immortal Hulk, which I haven't read, which is part of this haul, was a larger size number 1, issue 2 3.99, I believe, and then it's going up to 4.99. Scarlet Witch I don't care about, doesn't hurt me one bit. Dark Droids, this is funny because this is not true. Dark Droids number 2 is 3.99. No, it is not. It actually isn't. It's 4.99. The first issue is like 5.99. I think the only thing is the Dark Droids, the R2D2 special or whatever, might have been 3.99 first, and now it's going to go up. Captain America number 1. Now, uh, again, I'm thinking about continuing on with this. It hasn't come out yet, but I don't know what to do with it. Daredevil, I've heard some iffiness about the writer for the new writer for Daredevil once it relaunches with its number 1, but that's going to be 4.99. So those are 2 books that I'm looking at either pursuing or again trade waiting. Immortal Thor, again, I've actually never read a Thor comic ever. So, but I've heard a couple things about, how well Al Ewing is writing, and he did a good, according to what I've heard, he did a good job on Immortal Hulk. So I'm looking at picking that up. And yeah, right there, 4.99, possibly going forward. At the very end of this article, I do know DC, DC did it with Superman and with Action. Action actually has a deal with 48 pages. Superman is not, but so far Superman is worth picking up. The question is at the very bottom of this is, will DC do it with the October solicits? Actually, they didn't. The only thing that they did is, I believe, Harley Quinn, Batman, the Batman titles, and Superman. And I think the rest of them are 3.99, which is kind of early for now. I think for now, and I could be forgetting one of them, but that's just one of those things that I was kind of thinking about. Again, one of those reasons why I'm considering, you know, nixing a couple of my pre-order stuff. Anyway, back to so Black Panther. Black Panther's 3.99. I'm again considering just kind of staying with it. I was actually going to drop it after the first arc, but it's 3.99 and I don't know. The first issue was good. The second issue was or the first issue was okay. The second issue was better. So we'll see where it goes. Maybe the third issue it falls off, but who knows? Moon Knight City of the Dead. So I picked this up. This is issue number 2. I picked up issue number 1. I picked this up because I believe, according to the solicits in the Moon Knight storyline, this kind of takes place between a couple of stories. And so I kind of, just wanted to add to that because I think that Moon Knight is an interesting character. And, I wish that the Disney Plus Moon Knight was, actually featured more of Moon Knight than occasionally featuring Moon Knight, but whatever. Big Game. So I almost stopped. So this is Mark Miller, and I picked up the first issue from my local comic book store, and I had immediate remorse for picking this up because half the characters I'm unfamiliar with, but I feel as though it did such a good job of actually, you know, uh, letting me know what's going on within the world. And I knew enough about Mark Miller's comics or whatever, the Nemesis and some of the other heroes that, and they're doing like this all out, almost end game type of a war, the survival of the fittest type of a situation. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm going to pursue Mark Miller's Big Game. Then we have Dawn of DC Night Terrors number 4. Like I said, I'm picking up all the main issues for Night Terrors. We'll see how that is. I do accidentally came to a site the other day. I know how the story ends, and I know the origin story because it just pop was right there, is less than lackluster. But you know what? I think I need to rely on my own personal opinion rather than the writer of the blog's opinion that I happen to see. Amazing Spider-Man number 300. This is the facsimile edition. This one I've heard is, you know, one of those. I don't know if it's a great story, but I just couldn't help myself. I just decided to pick it up, and that's the other thing that I've been noticing. There's a lot more facsimile comics that are coming out, and man, they are expensive to the point where there's one, the X-Men Annual #1 that is like 8.99, 9.99, and I just had to say, "No, I'll just read it for free," or actually not for free, but for less than the cover price of that comic. And again, that's what you get for buying it physically. You get to own it. Whereas with the Marvel Unlimited, you get to read a file that is yours as long as you're a member of Marvel Unlimited. And then once you're not, I mean, you have the choice of either tracking it down, um, finding it illegally, on a pirate website, or stealing it from a friend if that's who you happen to be. There is the Immortal Thor, cover #1. Again, I have not read this. Will be the first Thor book that I will have ever read, so it'll be quite interesting. I have picked up some Thor stuff before, because I was kind of curious what was gonna happen when after Donny Cates left the book and this Torn Groombeck, took over. I'd never read all of it or any of it, but, I thought it was possibly a good jumping on point, and then I guess they ended it for this Immortal Thor run. So we'll see about that. Amazing Spider-Man #32. And again, I need to do a video of entitled When Did It Suck? Because I've heard so many things about this Amazing Spider-Man story line that is just less than lackluster. I don't know. I'm going to try to figure certain things out. Perhaps, I will. However, I'm looking at possibly dropping this title from, I believe, starting issue 36. From 30 after 36, I think I might just be dropping that completely, and that's just because of the 4-month, crime it connected to Miles Morales, and I've since dropped Miles Morales because of the Reign of Carnage thing, that storyline that occurred, and then I think I picked it up for one issue or 2, and then one of the solicits started talking about how there is a, I'm not sure if it's connecting or tying into Blade, but they're going to do a mini series with Blade before they go into this gang war with Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Luke Cage. And I think it would have made more sense if Daredevil was in there, but that's just my opinion. And then there is a Strange Academy Miles Morales. I picked this up because my nephew has, like, I got him the Strange Academy stuff, so I was kind of curious if he'd like this too. Yeah. Doctor Strange. Again, this is another one. I came really super close to dropping altogether. And the main reason, my rationale for keeping going is twofold. Uh, Jed MacKay, who is the writer of Doctor Strange, I've been enjoying the Avengers that he's done and his Moon Knight, which has been pretty good so far. And I have not read a single issue. I'm on issue #6 right now of this in my haul, but I'm considering just keeping going because it's 3.99. Yes, that is 3.99. So yeah. And then of course Moon Knight issue #26. I'm, yeah, gonna continue that until that gets canceled around issue #30 or so by the death of Moon Knight or whatnot. Then we have the Spider-Man annual issue #1. So yeah, and nothing else to add with Spider-Man #1. Then I have The Sacrificers by Rick Remender. Um, I just he did one book, I think it's called Scumbag or something like that, that I just decided not to invest in or pick up. And I'd heard from multiple people, even some of my friends that really don't pick up comics as much as often, that it was a really good series. And again, because I really like physical media, I was either waiting out for a trade, never remembered to do it, but I saw his name and I just decided to give The Sacrifices a chance. I don't know what that's about. Um, Spider-Man Night Terrors, issue number 2. I picked up issue number 1 at my local comic book store. Again, the main reason why I picked this up is first off, I think that's kind of a cool cover, even though the bat that has a gun coming out of its head is just weird. But Joshua Williamson is writing the Night Terrors main book, so I felt as though that there's a good chance that whatever happened in the main book, it could there could be some things that are connected through that book. I might be wrong, but that was my rationale for that. Fantastic Four issue number 10. Again, I was going to walk away after issue number 11. I had no plan on picking up anything after issue number 11. It's been the first couple of issues. I've not gotten to uh, the close to this arc yet, but issue number, the first couple of issues have not been that bad. And again, cover price now $3.99. So, I mean, maybe I'll just keep on picking it up until it goes up to $4.99. Maybe that's where I draw the line for a lot of these things and just wait them out. Okay, Justice Society, number 5. This book I was pre-ordered years not years ago, but it seems like years ago, and just because of either Jeff Johns is taking a long time to write it or Michael Yannon is taking forever to draw it, but, yeah, that is a bad glare. I apologize for that. Alright, Rogue Sun, still have not read a single issue of this. What issue are we on right now? We are in issue 15, but I do like Ryan Parrott and his writing. I feel as though he is a strong writer, as well as this whole Kyle Higgins massive verse thing. One thing I do like about the massive verse, and similar to something that Marvel started doing like about 2 or 3 years ago, is at the very beginning or end of the year, they have one book. I believe Marvel's is called Timeless, and this is the massive verse, and they kind of do a I'm not sure if they set up the next year, but I wish DC would kind of do that instead of doing what they've done with the Infinite Frontier, having a 5-issue mini-series kind of setting up the Infinite Frontier, and then having 2 stories kind of also setting up the Infinite Frontier, which also possibly could have set up 5G, which was a massive flop, but from everything that was said, possibly a good thing to be a massive flop. Is this a great book? But at the very end, on the most recent issue, I realized that there was a QR code, and the QR code links to a, a podcast that connects to this comic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I immediately downloaded. I now need to go back and re-listen or reread the first couple of issues and listen to the podcast as they're going. I love it. It's kind of like a um, is it? It's kind of Batman-ishy, but misdirection, unknown killer, person possibly wrong connection to the actual killer, mistaken identity. Really fun story. Battle Chasers. Again, I've not read this at all, but this series came out when I was a kid. I wish I would have read it at the time, but you know what? I was already fat, overweight, Star Trek, Doctor Who nerd. I couldn't have anything else more against me. So, I mean, come on. And then Schlub. I got this because I just remember reading the synopsis for it, and I just thought, all right, let's just give that a chance because that's a 3.99. Again, my rationale for taking a trip, I'm more apt to taking a chance now on independent stuff from Image Boom, Dark Horse, or whatever, compared to taking a chance on, well, Marvel for sure. And now I'm like, there's a couple of them that are for DC, like the whole Birds of Prey. I'm not gonna take a chance on that. I'll take a chance on it maybe if I remember to read it on the DC Infinite Universe app, but, I'm not looking forward eagerly for it, and it's a shame because now, like, some of the podcasts that I listen to read along with the people because I'm buying comics this way, saving some money, um, I'm behind listening to and it's fun to read comics with people who read the same comics as you do, even if it is a podcast or a YouTube channel, because you feel as though you're a part of a community, which I do appreciate. And probably the best part about being a, I guess you could say, nerd in the 21st century. Next, Wildcats, issue number 10. I was considering dropping this, still have not read an first issue. That was one reason why I was thinking about dropping it. But DC did me the favor and I think canceled it after 12 issues. So I'll just see it out till issue number 12. Miles Morales Spider-Man. So yeah, this is the next story post, I believe, the Carnage Reign story. So I think after issue 9, the next one is the first Blade story, which I, like I said, completely out on. And then uh, the World's Finest Teen Titans. This is Mark Waid basically writing a Silver Age comic, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. The Batman Superman World's Finest. I've enjoyed the first 2 issues of Shazam, which is fantastic. So, and I love that he kind of like heralds back into, when comics were just a tad bit hokier, but and I shouldn't say hokey, when they were a lot more fun. And I feel as though each like a lot oftentimes modern comics we're looking at deconstructing characters, deconstructing their personality only to try to build them back up again. And I think that is personally, as somebody who's a teacher, like if you're trying to get young readers, and granted, these comics are age 13 plus, I feel as though if you're trying to get young readers, oftentimes young readers don't want a deconstructed character. They just want a fun story that is rereadable. I mean, a lot of my students who are 10, 11, 12 read and reread, Diary of a Wimpy Kid because they're funny and rereadable and not simple. They're a little bit more complex compared to when I taught, younger kids where they would reread Dogman because they knew the joke was coming. It was simple art. They knew the joke was coming, but they still found it funny because they weren't trying to deconstruct Dogman in the comic. It was just a fun read that was rereadable. And I think that's kind of as I've been rereading or reading for the first time some of these stories from the 80s and 90s. Oftentimes there is 1, 2, 3 part stories, but they're fun. Like what was it? There was this one where there was a killer who was able to change his face. And so as he was killing somebody, he was killing them with the face of Abraham Lincoln. As he was trying to hide the body, a child came across him and he changed his face to Jesus. And it's like, I found it funny and quirky, but rereadable. And then I pursued it and went to and bought it in physical format. And I think that is kind of what is lost in some of these modern comics, which and I think is Mark Waid is kind of doing pretty good job with World's Finest so far. All right, Green Lantern, the Night Terrors. That is just a cool cover. The skull with the power ring and the light going through the skull or whatnot. Again, Jeremy Adams is the writer for Green Lantern. That's why I picked this up. Else, I would have not compared to the rest, most of the Night Terrors. You have the Superman annual, which I will say, I think going forward, I'm all about. I was always thinking about like not buying annuals because of the added price and how kind of like disconnected some of them are to the stories. However, with DCBS, because I can get about 40% off of things, I think that's how I'm going to be picking up my annuals from now on. Sadly, no local comic book store, but again, price them at a reasonable level. Give me either good creators with a good story or throw some people on who are new to comics and give them a small chunk of a story to expand on. Don't give them a brand new title to expand on and want me to go along with the ride. I mean, that's yeah. Avengers number 4. So again, I think I was almost done with this, but again, I believe in Jed McKay, and I'm also kind of intrigued with the storyline. However, I think I might be out with it after the first arc, even though it at least claims to continue to be 3.99 according to solicits. But I don't know. We'll just see. I'll just play it by ear. Night Terrors issue number 3. So again, that's the main book. I will read that. Sadly, I have to wait an entire month for the final conclusion to Night Terrors. And here's the other thing about everything. By the time I get that book, it will be available on DC Infinite Universe before I receive my shipment in the mail. So again, now I'm toying with the idea of dropping them completely because of that reason. But that's a me problem. Spider-Man issue number 31, The Wedding. I've already heard things about this, but again, I need to come up with my own opinion by reading it myself. And this is oversized $10. Again, that's the only reason why I picked it up. It makes it easier to pick up a $10 issue because I believe with the discount it's like $6.39 or something like that. Then we have the last issue of The Adventures of Superman, John Kent, issue number 6. I got this on purpose because of the cover. You know, you have the young Superman, I think probably even maybe pre-rebirth. Then you have the Super Sons, which is rebirth. Then you have a couple of more forgettable John Kent Superman things. Death of the Venomverse. So it got this issue number 1 because I knew I was going to get issue number 2 for a reason that I will talk about when I get issue number 2 up here, because I do know that it is in this pile. But I also got issue number 2 from my local comic book store, and I read that, and I really didn't need to get issue number 1. So, yeah. Anyway, Batman White Knight. Again, I do believe in what's his name? Sean Murphy does, Sean Gordon Murphy. I like the Murphyverse. I'm really hoping that in the future they do a Justice League in the Murphyverse. I think that'd be great. I do know that what is it? I think Superman makes an appearance in the last issue of his last arc. So, okay, Death of the Venomverse number 2, and this is the Kid Venom variant cover, and that's the main reason why I picked up the other Death of the Venomverse, because I was like, I don't think I'm going to be reading this one. And here's the sad thing about this. So I picked up the first one because I was worried that I might need issue number 1 to figure certain things out. I read the Carnage storyline up to issue number 10. I have not read the Reign of Carnage because I have not been reading the Red Goblin, and that was a Red Goblin, Carnage, Miles Morales tie-in. And then of course there is the Alpha and Omega issue, which I am now like almost purely boycotting Alpha and Omega issues, unless I fully believe in the project/idea. So with that being said, I picked that up because I was so intrigued on the introduction of Kid Venom, because I'm like, this could possibly be the arch nemesis to Spider-Boy going forward. Now, the interesting thing about that is, and maybe I will do a Spider-Boy or Spider-Man 12 review in the near future and talk about Venom Kid or Kid Venom. That would be the perfect situation. Having not read issue 12 and of Spider-Man yet, it's in the pile somewhere. I don't think that's gonna be a thing, but, who knows? It could be. It could be, but I personally don't think that's gonna be a thing. Okay, The Vigil, number 4. Again, I think this is the best of the We Are Legends, stories. I'm gonna see this one out to the end, and then I dropped, City Boy after 2, but I am reading it on DC Infinite Universe, and of course, Spirit World, never bought a single issue, wasn't impressed with issue number 1. have no interest in picking up anything else. Moon Knight, the What If Moon Knight. So I'm not really up on the What If series, but I thought that this would be kind of a fun story to pick up. I'm looking forward to the one that comes out in November. The What If, Blade was bitten by Dracula and turned into a full vampire. That would have been and that's written by Marv Wolfman, so a classic story writer. Night Terror's Superman. So again, this is written by Joshua Williamson, who is the main writer for the Night Terrors. So again, that's the main reason why I picked up this book. Maybe and he's also the main writer for Superman. So again, maybe he might have something going forward. Then we have Daredevil. This is by Chip Zdarsky. I think this is 14. This is the last issue by Chip Zdarsky, and he is the current Batman writer, which I have not read an issue of Batman since I think 120, 135, maybe? I can't remember. I don't know what. Yeah. Anyway, there we are. Spider-Man issue number 11. Wait, don't I have 12? No, it stops after 11. Sorry, this is the last one. Yeah. So, yeah, I have thoughts about that, even though I have not read that illegally or legally. This is Spider-Man issue number 11. I'm very interested to read this because I do have thoughts about this as well as some other things. So maybe I'll have to do a video on that too. And then we have this. I have no interest in reading the Night Terrors Nightwing, but I picked up both of the Matina covers because I mean, that is just awesome. Like, that Matina cover right there is just beautiful, but I have no interest in reading it at all. I bought it just purely for the cover. So, yeah, very wasteful, but whatever. Ultimate Invasion number 1. So this is the second printing of Ultimate Invasion number 1. The main reason why I picked this up is because I want a reader copy of something, and I kind of do, but I also kind of gifted the Ultimate Invasion to my nephew because he read all of the Ultimate Spider-Man, and I thought he would really appreciate that. And then Gunslinger Spawn. This is the only book that is the actual cover price for every single thing that I purchased, which is $2.99. And I love that this is it's good paper. It has a really good artist on it, Brett Booth, awesome name also. And then the cardstock cover, and it's $2.99. $2.99 for all of that. And Marvel has bad paper. DC has pretty good paper, but are constantly giving you the good deal of $1 extra throw-in story for an extra dollar, which is questionable at best. And if it was able to sell by itself, they probably would for $3.99, but it can't. So they don't, and they charge you for it. And I don't like that. And last, comic number 42 of my haul is Batman Incorporated, issue number 11. And I love this because I have not read this yet. And the beauty of this is I didn't know that this was the final issue because in no solicits did it say issue number 11, final issue. So DC has done me the solid of not or canceling 2 books on my constant pull list, which is Batman Incorporated and also Wildcats, and they never told me that they were ending. So now I basically have 2 open slots for the up and coming future. So yeah, that's everything. So that is my comic haul. Those are my comic thoughts. This was a long video. I tried to do it as best as I could. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe I did not live stream it. I just decided to use StreamYards as an example, and maybe it kind of flowing a little bit better because I do kind of need notes because I think I'm okay on my feet. But the instant I get done recording something, I have immediate regret and remorse for mistakes because I hate imperfections. I demand perfection from me. I don't mind if other people make mistakes, but, well, I guess I do during a surgery or something like that. That'd be pretty bad if a doctor made a mistake during my surgery. But anyway, thank you for watching. What did you think? Like, subscribe, comment down below. I appreciate your feedback. And until next time, I will see you in the dollar section where some of these comics will definitely be not the omnibuses that I got that showed you at the very beginning, but yeah. Yeah. And until next time, may the dollar section be with you.